y'all, welcome to Criminally Creative, a channel about my various creative endeavors. Today is Saturday, February 26th, and this is episode 28. My name is Susan. You can find me on Ravelry as Legal Eagle and on Instagram as Criminally Creative Podcast. This podcast channel, I keep saying podcast because I started as a knitting podcast, but now I do a lot more cross stitch, which is called Floss Tube. So I'm trying to convert to saying channel, but I haven't quite gotten into the habit yet. So this channel is primarily about knitting and cross stitch, but you will also see some other crafts, including crochet. Today there's a little bit of punch needle, some pot holders that I've done on loom, and then occasionally you'll see weaving and quilting and sewing and whatever else I feel like getting into. Anyway, so I hope y'all have been doing well. It's been about a month since I've recorded. It's been a busy month. Right after I recorded last, the next weekend, we spent a long weekend in the mountains with some good friends. It got a little bit of snow, not too much, but we could still get out and about. I had one day that was freezing cold that we just basically stayed in the house we were renting and played games and had a little adult beverages. But had a nice, relaxing weekend away. Went and rode an alpine coaster, which if you've never ridden is a lot of fun. It's the first time I'd ever ridden one. I love roller coasters, but I had never ridden an alpine coaster, which is like you're on your own little individual sled, and you get tugged up the top of the mountain and come down. It was a lot faster than I was expecting. I mean, it was great. I had a blast, but it was a little faster than I expected. You have your own little brake, so you can slow it down if you get uncomfortable. But there were a couple times coming around some of the spirals that I did have to brake a little bit because you almost felt like you were going to go flying off the side. Like, it's not a bobsled track. It's like the sled is like sitting on a track. So I think it's highly unlikely, unless there was a mechanical malfunction, you would come flying off, but it kind of feels like it. So anyway, we had a great time with that. And then we went down towards the Charlotte area the next Saturday to have lunch with my in-laws and my daughter and her family for my father's 80th birthday, which was good to see everybody. After that, we had a crazy couple of weeks at work. If you're new to the channel, which I forgot to say, if you're new to the channel, thanks for checking me out. If you have been here before, I appreciate you coming back. But if you're new or haven't been here very long, I work for the North Carolina General Assembly, which is our state legislature, on the central nonpartisan staff. So I work for all of the members, regardless of party. Anyway, we had to redraw our House and Senate and congressional maps due to litigation. And the General Assembly was given 2 weeks to do that. And so I spent 2 weeks basically shut up in a windowless room drawing maps. So it was the second week of that was very work intensive. I worked almost 60 hours in about 4 days at one point. But that was done, submitted to the court. The court ruled this week, accepted the House and Senate and did their own congressional plan, but that's at least over until after the November elections. We will probably be drawing them again next year, but for now it's done. So anyway, work seems to be calming down a little bit. Our regular interim meetings are starting up. And so hopefully we're going to get a lull of a couple of months until at least after our primaries, which have now been moved. We're supposed to be in March, but have been moved to May because of the maps having to be redrawn. So anyway, that's about it. So let's get into the crafting, and we will start with verdicts, which is what I call my finished objects. The first verdict is my January Desert Vista Dye Works socks. These are Desert Vista Dye Works yarn, and I knit these, all my socks, or almost all my socks, on US 0 2mm needles, toe up with a Fish Lips Kiss heel. This colorway is called Winter Rainbow, which I thought was appropriate for January. Just thought it was really pretty. And the next finished object is, I was watching the Knit Girls, Laura and Leslie, and Laura was doing a foolproof cowl out of hand spun. And I decided I really needed to use some of my hand spun. And I had this actually already wound up into a cake, so it made it very easy. But I made a foolproof cowl. This is yarn that I hand spun from fiber from Three Waters Farms. I did it several years ago, and I actually took 3 braids that had similar colors and spun each braid as a single and then plied all 3 together. So this is a 3 ply. It's about a fingering weight, probably more of a sport weight. But anyway, the foolproof cowl is, I've never made one, but it's a really neat construction. And I'm sorry, you'll see I've woven the ends in, but I haven't snipped them because I haven't blocked this yet, as usual. I have a pile of stuff that needs to be blocked. But you start by like you're doing a triangle shawl until you get to the depth that you want this way for your cowl. And then you work each arm out and then join those 2 ends by doing basically the reverse and decreasing down to this point. So I made this long enough that it could be doubled up. And the nice thing about the hand spun is you usually get a little bit of natural striping. So that's about how I like mine doubled up, because I can make it tighter if I need to have it, you know, closer up here. But I don't like anything to feel like it's kind of choking me. You will see some more of this yarn again in a little bit, because I had, since I did 3 braids and it was fingering to sport weight, I had like 1,000 yards of it. So I am making a matching hat that you will see in a minute in the when I get to Courtesan session. 2 other finished objects that I have finished quite a while ago, but I wanted to show you because I keep forgetting. I have been the past few years working with Carolina Fiberfest, which is an event that is held in March of each year at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds. Unfortunately, we have not had an in-person event since 2019. In 2020, we were literally setting up on Thursday, and Thursday after that, our event is a Friday-Saturday event. That Thursday afternoon at like 4:30, the governor put the state into, you know, quarantine, lockdown, COVID shutdown. And we literally had to tell all our vendors, pack your stuff back up and leave. So we set up for 2020. We didn't actually have the event. But anyway, so we are having an in-person event in a couple weeks in Raleigh, March 11th and 12th at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds in the Expo Center. If you are within driving distance of Raleigh, I would encourage you to come check us out. We have a lot of workshops and classes online that you can sign up ahead. Classes are actually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But the vendor market is only open Friday and Saturday. So if you're interested in just shopping, come Friday or Saturday. The event is free to attend. The shopping part, the classes cost money. They are very reasonably priced, in my opinion. And we have a lot of classes with knitting, crochet, spinning, weaving, some felting. Those are the primary categories. It seems like there might be one other thing I'm forgetting and I can't think off the top of my head. But check out the website, carolinafiberfest.org online. And anyway, one thing that we do for the event every year is we do a craft along. And this year we have 3 patterns. One of them I have not done yet, but we have an adorable little gnome called Nibber. And that pattern is designed by Tina McClancy. So you can go to our website, and these patterns are free on our website until 2 weeks after the event. After that, they revert to the designer, and it will be up to the designer at that point whether or not they are continue to be free or whether or not they choose to charge for the patterns. But until 2 weeks after the event, so the March 29th or 30th, I can't remember the exact date, they are free on our website. Nibber is an adorable little knit gnome that I have not yet made, but it's one of the craft along patterns, and we encourage you to make them, bring them to the event. We're going to have a little gnome area where you can leave your gnome to visit with other gnomes, and I believe the designer Tina is going to actually be there to help anyone who might want some assistance with constructing their gnome, because if you haven't made a gnome, they're a lot of fun. They're not hard, but they are a little fiddly sometimes because you're usually working with smaller needles, smaller pieces. So if that's something you've never done before and you feel like you want some help, maybe knit up the pieces, and Tina can help you with some assembly or instructions. So that's the one I have not made yet, but I have made the other 2. We have a knit cowl and a crochet cowl. And one thing that we do is if you make any of these 3 patterns and bring it to the event to show us, we will give you a button, just like, you know, a pin button that says 2022 Carolina Fiberfest Craft Along, but it's just cute, you know, a little memento for having participated. So, and it's also a lot of fun to see all the color choices other people make. So anyway, the first one I'm going to show you, this is the knit pattern. This is called Slip Stitch for a Garden Cowl. Let me make sure. Nope, I have it upside down. I guess it doesn't really matter, but they're supposed to look like little flowers. So I knit this on US 6 4mm needles. The pinkish yarn is Yarn Cafe Creations DK in the Cabernet color, and the gray is a Barocco Fiora DK weight. This pattern is designed by Amy Palmer. And it is actually, it's a relatively, I mean, slip stitches create all this design. So you are never working with more than one color at a time. So if color work intimidates you, don't worry about it. This is not a stranded color work. You're only knitting with one color at a time. You're just slipping some stitches to create this effect. There is a 1-cross cable involved occasionally. But that's very easy to do. Don't let that intimidate you. These patterns are designed to be adventurous, beginner friendly. So don't worry if, you know, you are a beginner. You can try this, and if you have problems, you can always the beautiful thing about a craft along is there's other people working on the pattern. So anyway, so that's the knit cowl. And then we also have a crochet cowl, because we like to cover both crafts when possible. This is designed by, and again, I have not blocked this, so I apologize. It would actually be a little bigger once I block it. This is designed by Joan Beebe, and it's also a cowl. This is like a kind of a bandana style cowl. So there's a point in the front and the back. Goes over your head. Let's see if I can get it over. Like I said, this will block a little bit bigger. So a little bit closer to your neck. Or you could probably, if you know some about crochet, you could probably make this a little bit bigger, but I don't know. I don't remember. I made this a couple months ago, so I don't remember if this pattern has instructions for making it bigger. The knit pattern does give you an indication of how you could make that longer, like if you wanted a longer one, like that foolproof I showed you. Again, there's ends hanging off because they're woven in, but I have not blocked this yet. So, and then I have a tassel to go on this, which I have not attached yet since I haven't blocked it. So I will put that tassel on the front thing of that, so when I wear it. I am not as experienced a crocheter as I am a knitter, but I was able, so I have to count a lot more, but I was able to follow this pattern easily. This pattern does have a crochet chart if you're a chart crocheter. I have not yet learned how to use crochet charts. I strongly prefer charts in knitting, but for some reason I just haven't picked up the crochet chart thing yet. And the hardest thing for me about crochet is finding that last stitch on the row, so to speak. So I usually just mark that with a removable stitch marker, so I know I get it coming back. But anyway, this was not and I crocheted this up literally in like a day. I basically spent one Saturday doing this. Now it did take me several hours. I didn't do much of anything else that day. But neither one of these take an extremely long time to knit or crochet. So anyway, so those are all of my verdicts. Nope, those are not all of my verdicts. I apologize. Those are all my knit verdicts, but I do have 2 other things to show you. I have my pot holders for January. I've subscribed to the Acorns and Twigs Just Keep Looping pot holder kit. It's not kit, pot holder box. So once a month I get a box with 4 patterns and the loops for my Harrisville pot holder loom. I have a Harrisville Pro, the bigger one. And the boxes are always, so like January's box is themed more for February, and February's box is themed for March. So you get colors kind of themed towards the next month for them. So these were the January box, and it was kind of a Valentine's theme, but I like the way they did it a little bit different, because instead of just the pink and the kind of red, there's some rust and brown. So there's one. There's the second one. I need to start figuring out who needs pot holders, because I'm going to have way too many, but I'm having so much fun making them. It's interesting to notice how some of them I got, where I've got pulled a little bit different tension and stuff. I'm still kind of improving my pot holder game, so to speak. This is probably my favorite of this month's patterns. It looks like puzzle pieces to me. So, anyway, these boxes come in, and usually within 3 or 4 days, I make all 4 of them, because it's fun. It's like a flashback to my childhood. And then the other thing, I had an urge one day. I have this little kit. I had a little punch needle kit that I bought from Cottontail Farm. She is one of our Carolina Fiberfest vendors. And I bought this from her last year when we did kind of a virtual Carolina Fiberfest. And it had just been sitting, and one day I just got the urge, and again, did this all like in one day, one Saturday that I was just being, lazy, sitting around crafting. So this is punch needle, and it's just a cute little sheep. This kind of jinky eyeball is the first thing I did, so it's not as pretty. I have done some rug hooking with felt loops, and I have all the stuff to do a couple other punch needle patterns, but I really had never done much of it. So this came with everything but the punch needle, which I did not buy because I already had a punch needle. But you can get the punch needle from her as well. But it came, I mean, the what do they call it? Something cloth. It's not weaver's cloth. I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me eventually. But the cloth you use for punch needle, this is already in this frame. So all I had, and it came with the yarn in the amount she needed. And then you just had to buy the punch needle separate. The actual needle you used to punch separate if you needed it. And so this is ready to go. I've knocked it somehow, and I've chipped my frame because I've been throwing it around, but we're not throwing it around. Oh, no, that's just tape from where it's sitting somewhere. Sorry. Anyway, I just thought it was really cute. And now the back of the frame also has some, like, felt on it. So you could, and that's the thing about punch needle is you punch from this side. So this is the back of it, but this is the side you're looking at while you're doing it. And then this is what it looks like on the other side, as opposed to rug hooking where you're doing it from the top and you're seeing what you do. But anyway, that was just a fun little project. And I have a couple other punch needle things, or patterns rather, that I may try eventually. So, too many crafts, not enough time. That is all of my verdicts. So now let's get on to quarters in session. We'll start with the knitting. First is my February Desert Vista Dye Works socks. And if you're new, I am doing, Desert Vista Dye Works does a sock along, I guess, where if you do a pair of socks a month, depending on how many months in a row you do it, you get prizes and rewards. Like 3 months, you get a coupon. For every month you do it, you get like a 10% coupon. So if you do 3 months, you get 30%. If you do 6 months, you get a free skein of yarn of your choice. If you do all 12 months, you get an additional free skein of yarn that's an exclusive colorway for that year, and that is not like ever offered again. So anyway, this month's socks I am doing are Witches of Eastwick, which the name has nothing to do with February or Valentine's Day, but I thought it was kind of a February-ish color. It has a little bit, the red and pink for Valentine's Day. But it has the teals and blues, so I just thought it was a pretty color for February. So I have gotten the heels turned on those, and I've only got between now and Monday. February's a short month, and it just kind of dawned on me last night that I got to get these finished by Monday in order to be completed. So, which shouldn't be a problem if I just put some concerted effort into them. I don't like the legs of my socks very long. The legs, I think, for the rules have to be at least 3 inches long. I usually do 3 to 4 inches and then another inch of cuff, and that's about it. So, I got to knit 3 or 4 inches on these before Monday, end of the day Monday, and I'll be good. But I knit my socks, like I said, on US Zeros, 2.2 millimeter needles. I do them 2 at a time on 2 circulars because Magic Loop annoys the crap out of me. And I like to do them 2 at a time because that way they are always exactly the same size. And when I'm done, I'm done. I have when I've tried to do socks 1 at a time, which I do occasionally, like if I'm doing colorwork socks or something like that, I get the first one done, and then there's usually a big delay between the first and the second, and inevitably they're not quite the same size and all that. So I have this in a Jambi Smiley bag, and this rides around in my pocketbook, and usually I try to knit on them a little bit at lunchtime, 2 or 3 days a week, but like I said, the last couple weeks of work have just been crazy, and I just haven't done that much. So the next thing I'm going to show you knit is my high-low temperature cowl that I'm doing for the year. You can kind of see some of my little chart for the, here we go. I realized kind of too late, I'm doing a cross-stitch temperature chart, and so for this I used the same ranges, but I didn't really think far enough in advance about my cross-stitch temperature chart. My lowest temp is I've got 35 degrees and below, because our high temperature really doesn't get below, my cross-stitch chart is all high temps, and our high temperature doesn't get below 35 all that often. What I didn't think about with the knit one is that this is a high temperature and low temperature, and our low temperature does get below 35 more frequently. So I probably should have had at least one more range that was like, 31 and below or something, because we actually have had quite a few low temperatures in the 20s this winter. But I was kind of far enough in that I didn't really want to change that when I thought about that. But one thing I did do is we have actually had a couple of days where both the high and the low were below 35, which, like I said, we don't have that many days usually where the high is below 35, so I just didn't think about it. But so for those days, I have added in another color to use for the low temp when both temperatures are below 35, so that it's not just one color solid across. Anyway, this is, I'm using a US 4 3.5 millimeter needle. I'm doing this with my 2020 Advent kit from the Fiber Studio at Yarns to Die For. And so far, this is where we are. As you can see, there's a lot of this lighter white. There's actually 2 colors there. That's the other thing that I didn't think probably enough about. My below 35 is like a creamy, and my 35 to 39 degrees is like a very, very, very light gray. And so here you can't really see much difference between them. You can see this row right here where this dark is the purl stitches. That's one of the couple of days where both temperatures are below 35, and I added that darker color to indicate the low. So these colors are not necessarily all pastel, but they're not really bright, if that makes any sense. So let's see if I can get that a little, trying to get it in a little good color light, but not get blown out by the lamp that's to my left here. I'm also wondering, so the knit stitches are, this is like corrugated rib. The knit stitches are the high temps. The purl stitches are the low. And it's got a provisional cast on, so eventually, it will be turned into a loop. So I'm knitting it in the round, but this will eventually be, joined with the other end so that it goes around like that. That is through last Saturday, the 19th. So I'm a little concerned it might not be as long as I like, but oh well. At this point, it is what it is. I'm not starting over again. I considered starting over again, particularly after I saw a somebody that's doing it that put at the end of each month 2 rows of just a solid color to indicate the end of the month, and I wish I'd thought about that, but I'm not going to rip it out to start over again. I like to do temperature projects, and I do them, you know, relatively, not every year, but most years, at least for the past few years. So, you know, I may live and learn, and I may do another one of this. I like the pattern, so I may do another one of the same pattern next year, but just do it maybe in a heavier weight or something like that. So, let's see, the next project that I have worked on, and I'm trying to get this done for a coworker whose wife is pregnant, and due in April. So I need to get this done in March. This is my Bounce Baby Blanket, which I am almost done with. I am knitting this. This is a pattern called Bounce by Tin Can Knits. Let me back up a minute. The High-Low Temperature Cowl that I just showed you is a pattern by Victoria Myers, and I didn't mention that. This is Bounce. Sorry. Need to put my color thing back in my bag. And I didn't show you, this is a Fat Squirrel bag. This is her large wedge, I think. This is actually in a bucket bag from Cottontail Farm, who is also the one that I got the little punch needle kit I showed you from. And this is the Bounce Blanket by Tin Can Knit. I'm knitting this on a US 7 4.5mm needle. I am knitting it with Universal Yarn Cotton Supreme in 5 colors, 4 plus the gray that's between. So I have done 4 full repeats of my 4 color set, and I have just, the purple is the start of the 5th repeat, which will be the last run through the color scheme. And then I will do a little bit more gray on the end and bind that off. So I can do 1 full color thing watching a couple of shows on TV at night, so I shouldn't have any problem finishing that. I just gotta do it. There's that. And let's see, next is, I told you would see that hand spun yarn again. I had enough of the hand spun left. I've still got a ton. The hat's not going to use it all. It might end up with gloves, which there is a glove pattern I've been wanting to try, so it might. A friend of mine, Tracy, has invented a brand new cast on, I think it is. I haven't done it. She's come up with these gloves, and I can't remember what they're called. It's like a sideways glove pattern that you knit like this way in garter stitch. I will try to remember to put the name of the pattern on the screen here. It's available on Ravelry, and the name of it won't come to me at the moment. So I'm thinking, depending on how much yarn I have left after I finish this hat, which I think will be enough, I might actually make some gloves out of this as well. So anyway, so this is the Langfield hat by Martina Bam. I'm knitting this on US 4 3.5mm needles. And this is a very unique construction hat. I'm going to put a picture of what the finished object kind of looks like on the screen so that you can see. So you start this hat by just knitting a triangle like you're doing a triangle shawl. And then you join, and there's like this kind of short row thing that I'm currently doing that you can't really see because I've only done a few rows of it, that creates this flap up. And you have to, honestly, the only way for you to see it is to buy the pattern and see the diagram that's in the pattern. But I have made it before, and it works. It's one of those weird, like, not even envelope, but one of those weird constructions where you make this kind of piece that you then fold over and stitch together with like a 3 needle bind off, and you're done. So it works, and it's just an interesting construction. So it creates, you know, kind of some interesting angle stripes on the hat. So I am making that. And then the last knitting project that I wanted to show you that I've been working on is, I worked a little bit on some of my blankets, but again, I feel like showing you those usually is just, you can't even see the difference unless I lay the whole thing out size-wise. So I just show you those once a year, at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. But anyway, this is kind of stashing for retirement because I can't remember if this yarn may have been, I may have showed you this yarn in the last episode, but I can't remember. This is Suburban Stitcher Sock, and the pattern is Ladybird Wrap by Joji Locatelli, and I'll put a picture of what it will look like finished on here. I have just kind of barely started it, but it is so this is like the centerpiece of it. You knit a centerpiece and then you add some edgings and stuff to make it a big rectangular wrap. So it will be much wider than this when it's finished. But and I loved the sample pattern so much that I actually ordered the yarn that the design was done in from Suburban Stitcher. It's a Suburban Stitcher sock. The colorways are Cosmopolitan, Ladybird, Coal, and no, yeah, that's Ladybird again, sorry. Sugarland, excuse me. So I got the kit from her, which gives you the one Cosmopolitan, you need 2 of the Ladybird, but then only half skeins of these 2, so you didn't have to buy whole skeins of those 2. And I need to get back to working on that. I was working on that, and then I made a mistake and had to rip out like 10 rows because I wasn't paying enough attention. And I ripped the 10 rows out and reknit them, and then I set it aside again, so I need to work on that. So that is all of my knitting quarters in session. And so next, let's move on to cross stitch quarters in session. So I tried to put these in some sort of logical order, but they're not necessarily in chronological order. So as I tried to explain it last episode and may have confused everybody, I've got 2 whip gray projects a month that each get a week, Monday through Friday, of them being my focus project. And then I picked 2 more projects, spin a wheel to get 2 more projects from the same list of projects that are on my whip gray board. And those also get a Monday through Friday a month. And then on weekends, I work on whatever I feel like. On Sundays, I catch up on my temperature chart and, my temperature things and whatever else I feel like. And the rest of it's just, whatever I feel like. I also once a month usually do a Hawker and Hollow Zoom where I work on my Christmas at Hawker and Hollow, but I did not do that this month. And I also once a month participate in Pam from Stitching in Atlanta Good Enough's Fancy Folk Zoom, which is fancy folk patterns, mirabilias and that sort of thing, where I'm doing a mirabilia, which I will show you because I did do that this week. So anyway, so I kind of tried to put these in some kind of logical order, but not necessarily the order that I worked on them. So first is my temperature chart for 2022, which is Temperature Bookshelf 2 from Christie's Corner. I'll put a picture here of kind of the sample pattern picture. Colors, of course, will be different because you do it based on your high temperatures in your area. Here's kind of my color palette that I'm doing. I modified it a little bit from her. I'm doing this on 36 count Jody fabric from Jody from the Steel City Stitchers. Last year I was in her club. I have unfortunately had to reduce that one, or get rid of that one. But anyway, so this, like I said, I work on this every Sunday. So this is through last Saturday, the 19th of February. Each month each shelf is a month. Each book is a day. The color is based on the high temp of the day. And then each shelf has a couple of knickknacks. January shelf is complete. I've done the heart for February. There's a little rose that goes here I haven't done yet. Some of those books, you can see, I'm getting a real glare. There we go. Maybe that's better. Some of those books were 2 days or the same color. Eventually I will go back and probably do a little bit of backstitch in between those in just a slightly darker color to kind of distinguish better, but I haven't gotten around to doing that yet. So I will probably do that. I don't know if I'll either do that at the very end or if I will just do that before I move the Q step up. So I have that in a Sock Monkey bag from Lynn X Stitch Creates. Next is a project you saw last month because it was one of my January Whipco calls, and I don't know how much more I got done since I last showed it to you. We'll put a picture here of where it was the last time I recorded, and I believe it's at least a little bit different, although I don't know how much. Oh, this is, I do have a picture of this one. This is Winter Cabin, which is a Dimensions Gold kit. And this is where I am. I had, I think after I last recorded, I can't remember if it was before or after I recorded, I realized that I had done a whole section here in the wrong color. It was one of the colors in here, but it wasn't the one in the right place, so I had to rip out, like, I don't know, a bunch of stitches and redo them. Because although it might have worked, just the shading wasn't going to be right. So anyway, you can start to kind of see some trees and house and everything. So, whoops. I just knocked my... Give me a second. I need to put these needles through the fabric because I had them sitting on this needle minder, but it's obviously not strong enough to really hold them because I barely touched it and it fell in my lap. But fortunately, I caught both of them. I like to, where possible, keep 2 needles with my full coverage because although I tend to thread complete when I do anything, particularly full coverage, sometimes I have a situation where I want to fill in another, something around something before I finish the thread, if that makes any sense. This is also in a Linex Stitch Creates bag, just a Christmas bag. Just because Christmas, winter, that was as close as I could get theme in the bags I had available. The next one you also saw last time because it was one of my January Whipco calls. It was Pandemic by Long Dog Sampler. I will put a picture of what the finished object will look like there. And I will also put up a picture of what it looked like the last time you saw it. I am doing this on 40 count antique white in Silks for You. 1 strand over 2. Colorways I'm using are PR 147, mostly with a little bit of PR 123 for the animals. I know the screen is not going to show very well the difference in the color, but the animals are just a little bit more greenish blue-green than the other variegated thread for the rest of it. So that is Pandemic by Long Dong Sampler. I'm really liking that. And this is in a bag from Buckleberry Quilts that is just blue on the back, but the inside fabric has little elephants and cats in cute little outfits. I don't know if you can see. Buckleberry Quilts, just interestingly enough, lives in the town that I grew up in, which is about an hour and a half north of here. And is very tiny. So it was actually pretty interesting to find out she was from there. My February Whipco calls were Winter Wonderland, which is, I'll put a picture here of what it looks like when it's finished. And then I will also put a picture of what it looked like last time you saw it. Or actually at the beginning of the year, because I don't think you saw this one last month. Maybe. This is a pattern by Dorothy Kanzi. It's from Historic Strickmeister. I don't remember. I didn't write that down. Exactly the spelling on that. This pattern is available on the Silk app, which is an iOS app. And so that's where I'm doing it. I'm doing it on 36 count light mocha. And this is where I am. I've got a lot of this right through here done in February. So that has been, it's being put away for right now. I got, I think my goal for this is about 25% more. And I did at least 10% this month. So I need to work, you know, it'll get at least one more full week this year. And then I need to work on it some. This is in a bag from the Brass Button, which is Dr. Seuss. More Dr. Seuss inside. Again, Christmas, winter, Winter Wonderland. And then my other February call is Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, which is Heaven and Earth Designs pattern based on artwork by Amy Stewart. I'll post a picture here of what it will look like when I finish. And I will also post a picture of what it looked like the last time you saw it. This one is still in the Q-Snap because it will get some more work this weekend. And you can see everything that I've done so far in it. So this is where I am on that. So I've gotten, I'm using this for a challenge on Semi-Sane Stitchers this month. So it's my focus challenge, but I'm also using it for a BAP, Big Ass Project Challenge. And so I've gotten 3,000 stitches in on it. I'm going to do another 1,000 this weekend for a total of 4,000. My goal for the year for this is 5,000. So I won't quite get my Whip Go goal this month. But I will get close. I'll just have to do a little bit more this year to meet my goal. So anyway, this is my husband, every time I work on this, he comes in and says, he really likes the colors in this one. Of course, he's just, he's looking at all this. And he came in the other night. I was working on something else. He's like, I want you to go back to the other one. I like the colors in it. He's like, I want you to finish it. I was like, yeah, that's a multi-year project. I was like, you'll see that finished object in like 4 or 5 years maybe. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. This one is also in a brass button bag with koalas. It's got gray with little birds on the inside. Sorry, trying to figure out where to lay stuff as I get done. I'm doing that on just 25 count white Lugana, 1/1. One of my decision wheel calls for February was Sleepy Hollow by Glendon Place, which was a new start this year. I showed you this last month because I had just started it. And I am doing this on Picture This Plus Nocturne, and I'm using the called for anchor floss. So I decided, since they now have the spools available at like Michael's and Joann's, that I would try the anchor floss for this. I will post a picture of what it looked like last time I showed it to you. And this was a Monday through Friday week focus, but it happened to fall the week that I was working the crazy hours. So I actually didn't get but 3 days that I worked on it, and one of those was not much. So not as much project that I would like, but I did get worked both sides. I started this project in the middle because I like to start top left if possible, but top left was going to be starting with the border. And I knew if I started there, my brain would want me to do all of this before I did any of this. And I knew that would drive me insane. So instead, I started in the middle. I've now worked my way out to both borders, so that way I can work some on the border as I work this. And my brain will be happy with the logic of that, but I will be much happier with the not monotony of that. So anyway, so again, I got some more done on the horse in the middle, but I worked my way over to the borders, did a little bit of pumpkins and skull over here. Over here, I just got to the outside border line, so that, when I go back to this, I can work a little bit of border, then a little bit of middle. I got a little bit, no, this isn't the one that I did any of the chronic in. This is another one. So it's kind of hard to see the horse thing. But anyway, I'm enjoying that one. And I like the anchor floss. I'm cutting a length off and putting it on my normal thing as I go. So like as I need the color, I cut a length off and put it on there, as I separate the strands and stuff, so that I have a way to corral, the remaining 4 strands if I only use 2. I'm doing this 2/2. And I think I said it's 28 count, Picture This Plus Nocturne. We were having a discussion the other night on the Fancy Folk Zoom about the counts on Picture This Plus fabric. Apparently, the way they dye their fabric really does kind of shrink the fabric. So like a 28 count Picture This Plus to me is more like a 32 count. It's a much tighter weave than a regular 28 count. one of the other projects I'm going to show you here in a minute. Well, actually, the next project that I'm going to show you. Sorry, my bags fell over. Is also a 28 count Picture This Plus, and you know, it's the holes are closer together, so which is fine with me because I actually prefer to work more on 36-40 count. But for that Sleepy Hollow project, there's some beading and stuff, and so, you know, I can't go smaller because of bead size and stuff. For this one, this project that I'm getting ready to show you, actually, let me back up a second. That's in a brass button bag, just llamas. This next one is was my other decision wheel call for February. Sorry, I left my pattern out of Glendon Place. I need to put it back in. It is One Nation by Bygone Stitches. I'll post a picture here of what that looks like when it's finished. And for this one, I'm doing 28 count Picture This Plus Ale, which is the call for fabric. I did not want to go to a smaller count on this because I like, it's a flag and I like the size. I want the size of it. So I will show you a picture of where it was at the beginning of the year, because I don't believe I showed you this in January, or the last time I showed it to you, or the beginning of the year, whichever is appropriate. And I spent this week on this, and I have getting close to finishing the star field, the field of stars. So that my whip go goal for this year, this was not a whip go call this month, it was a decision wheel call, but my whip go goal was pages 1 and 2. But I realized really when I got back into this that like page 1 is where you see this line where the star cuts off, and then like half of the first line of states. Again, my logic brain won't let me do that, so I'm doing the whole field of stars, and then I will start over here at the top and start working my way down, even though that will mean hopping from page to page. And this is not in Pattern Keeper. I do it on, I've scanned a copy and I use Good Notes on my iPad and highlight it off. I just don't, you know, I don't want to do like the top half of a state name on the page and then not get back to the bottom half of it until later. So I'm gonna reword that goal somehow, that basically I think my goal for the year is going to be finish that star field, and I need to count how many lines of words there are over there. It'll probably do about half of, I think there's like maybe 4 lines that are even with that star field. Maybe 3. If there's 4, I'll probably say that I need to do 2 of them. If there's 3, then I'll probably half that somehow. So we'll see. Anyway, this is also in a brass button bag with beehives on it and just gold inside. I think I told you that was 28 count Picture This Plus Ale. And I'm doing that in the Called For Classic Colorworks. So, which for the white doesn't really show anything. The blue, in person, you can see some shading in the blue, but it's going to have a lot more shading in the red. I'm trying to decide. I've heard that, so I haven't seen, I don't think I've seen a picture. I need to go on Instagram and see if a hashtag or something. I watch Sebastian of Bees and Tees Stitching, and she is doing this they are doing this project, pardon me. And they have talked about seeing people do like their state they live in gold. I'm not a gold fan, for one. I would be more inclined to do silver, but I'm not sure that would look right. North Carolina is in red in that. Red, of course, is, if you know me, may know, is not my favorite color, but of course this is a flag, so I'm not going to change the red to something else. I'm trying to decide whether I want to do something in or around North Carolina to indicate that's my state, but I just can't figure out quite what, because I don't like the gold idea. It's 2 strands of thread. I thought about maybe just adding a Chronic blending filament to it to give it a little bit of red sparkle. But I don't know. I may just stick to what it is and just do it and not highlight that. We'll see. So anyway, and then I did do Fancy Folk Zoom Thursday night. So I worked a little bit on my memorabilia White Santa, which I started last month and you've seen before. I will post a picture of where I was the last time you saw it. I don't think I have done that much more other than what I did Thursday night. I can't remember. I think I did work on this a little bit more after I recorded other than what I did Thursday night, but I can't recall for sure. So here's where I am now. I started in the middle. This kind of, it's not a white, but this really light grayish color, all that is what I did Thursday night. I have added a little bit of chronic in that one. There's some black. Sorry, let me see if I can get it folded in a way that I can get it close enough that you can see through here. These little black squares are black chronic braid, number 4 braid, but you probably can't see the glitter on there. So this is, I'm doing this on 32 count XJU Designs Little Dove. And this is in another brass button Grinch bag. Again, Winter Santa, Christmas. It's got Grinch on the inside. You can't really see because of all the stuff in there. In case you can't tell, I like brass button bags. And Lynn Stitch Creates, since that's what a lot of my bags are. I do have a couple other ones, but then I have one new start since last time. I mentioned this last time in my Stashing for Retirement that I had bought the Chronicles of Narnia Stitch Along pattern through Stitching Book Club from Sapphire Mountain Handicrafts. Excuse me. And the first clue of that came out. I have this in a sock monkey bag from Gamma's Treasures. And I have not finished the first clue. I am not, as I said last month, I think, or it might have been my end of year whip parade. I am not doing stitch alongs this year that I feel obligated to keep up with. So while I'm not going to not work on them, I'm not worried about keeping up between clues. So I'm not even sure when the next clue of this comes out, but I have not finished the first clue. So it's just, so I've just got that top part and I've started the Narnia. And, you know, like I said, I like to finish a thread, so if possible, I count down to where I can use something different. And honestly, if it's DMC, I don't have a problem traveling on this. I'm doing this on 32 count antique white. I'm doing it on 32 count because moving up to 36 or 40 count made it smaller than I wanted it to be. So on this, I am not traveling my thread too far because it would, since it's white, it would be very visible. But yeah, so anyway, I think I'm gonna like that. I'm just not in any huge hurry to get it done. And I thought a TARDIS was appropriate on Chronicles of Narnia. So that is all of my Court is in Session. Let's move on to Stashing for Retirement. Okay, we'll start with the like subscription club things that I belong to. I got the January Fiberlicious. This is 36 count, a very periwinter. This was my last Fiberlicious fabric. I really like their fabrics. I just, as I mentioned in my last episode, I just had to cut back on some of my fabric subscriptions because I was accumulating faster than I was using it. So that was the first one. Trying to figure out where to throw things so that I can, as you can see, I changed my angle mainly because this table behind me where I usually put my phone while I record has got so much junk on it, I didn't know where to move it. So you can see my even messier craft room. But which I have grand plans of reorganizing again, which I seem to do once a year. But in order to do that, first I need to clean up the guest room because that's where all the craft room stuff goes while I sort and reorganize. Anyway, my January Be Stitch Me, I get the neutral 1 month, color 1 month. So I believe this was a neutral month. This was Coconut Shell. which is a really pretty greeny brown. I get 36 count on that. And then also from Be Stitch Me, I got a couple of fabrics from her from a Friday night fight night. This was a few weeks ago, but I got a 28 count linen in Yule Wreath, which was part of, I think, from her Yule box that I did not get, but it was a very pretty Christmassy green. And then I got a 32 count linen, does not have a name, just a really nice bright blue. That might, I'm not sure, it might be a little darker, but I need to decide threads. This might end up being Hello from Liz Matthews Winter Quaker. Is that what it's called? The one with the snowflakes from last year, from about a year or so ago. That might end up being that. I'm not sure. And then a new club I joined this year is Rogue. What are they called? Rogue Stitching? I think it's called Rogue Stitching. Or just Rogue, the cross stitch company. So I joined both their Fabric of the Month and their Floss of the Month. And what they do is they do different dyers each month for fabric and different dyers each month for floss. So for January, the fabric was from Atomic Ranch Fabric. No, that's February. I'm sorry. Sunflower printed fabric from Winter. The name of the company, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out which one's the name of the colorway and which one's the name of the company. Sunflower printed fabric is the dyer, and the colorway is Winter Creek. And I get the 36 count for that. I'm not sure if you can see the little hints of blue. It's like a really, this is one of those that's printed where it's white on the back. There, maybe that gives you a little bit better idea. You can see it's like a really light tan, but there's streaks of blue, almost like water going through it. Very pretty. And I think I told you that's 36 count is that I get. And then the floss for January was from Dinky Dyes. Sorry. And you get, I don't know, 5 or 6. How many you get? 1, 2, 3, 6 flosses, or at least this month it was 6. I don't remember. So those are all Dinky Dyes. Is that cotton or silk? No, it's silk. I didn't realize they were all silks. So those are really pretty. So that was Rogue Stitching, and my February one is supposed to be here today, according to the estimated date on the U.S. Postal Service, but it doesn't look like it's going to be. But that's the U.S. Postal Service, not Rogue Stitching's fault. Then other floss clubs that I do is I do Color and Cotton. They're 5 skein, and actually this is February. Excuse me. I'm not going to take these out because you can actually see them pretty well in the bag. Real pretty, from a very light, they call it twinkle, very, very light gray, a little bit darker gray, pink to a kind of reddish. I could see using that on something all in one project. That would be a nice color scheme to use. Sorry. I suddenly got a frog in my throat. I joined this year the Crazy Annie Classic Colorwork Club, and I can't remember if she has multiple options, but I got 5 skeins. So I decided I needed to, that doing like Classic Colorwork is a thread that's used in a lot of designers use Classic Colorworks in their patterns. So I thought this would be a good one to start getting a better supply of, so every time I find a pattern I want to do, I don't have to order all the floss for it. So this was the January Crazy Annie Classic Colorworks. I'm not going to read you all the names of these because I feel like most of you don't really care that much about those details, but if you do, if you just saw a color you really want to know what it is, ask me a question below. I'll be glad to tell you. And then my other floss subscription is Forbidden Fiber Company. And this you get 12 flosses, 10 of her regular colorway and 2 one-of-a-kinds. And I'm trying to just get kind of where you can see. So there's 6 of them. And then the other 6. This looks just like a white, but it's actually got a slightest little hint of pink purple to it, but I can't, there's no way I can show you that on the screen. It's called Pale Thistle, if you're curious. She might have a better picture on her website, because that is one of her regular colorways. And then I bought a few patterns. So I got the next 2 of A Year in the Woods. I got the Jackrabbit and the Raccoon. I ordered these from Hobby House Needleworks in New York, and with both of them I got the 2 fancy flosses that the patterns call for. These patterns are a combo of usually 2 fancy flosses and the rest DMC, so I've been ordering, except for the first one. I need to go back to the box and order the fancy flosses. I'm getting the fancy flosses that go with them as I order them. So, and again, as I mentioned last time, I'm going to collect that whole series this year, and it's not going to get started this year. I'll then decide how I'm going to do it. I got sweater when I ordered from, this also came with Hobby House. I got Sweater Weather, which is a Pond Street pattern that I've just looked at several times. Cute little Dotsons. And then I think this also came from Hobby House. Maybe not. Don't remember if I got this from Hobby House or somewhere else, because I've had it a couple weeks. Is Cricut Collection October. And I also got little buttons that go with that. Somebody I was watching on FlossTube had stitched this up recently, and I just really liked it. So I've attached it to an order that I was making somewhere, probably Hobby House, but I can't remember. The other thing that I just finally got in, I had ordered this a while ago. Apparently this came out several years ago, back when I really wasn't cross-stitching at the time. But Pam from Pam and Steph Just Keep Stitching showed this a few months ago, that she had finished her Cardinal Points, which is a long dog sampler pattern that was done for General Arts, to highlight General Arts threads. And originally you could get with a General Arts thread pack. It's hard to find, at least it was hard for me to find, somebody that had the pattern and stuff in stock. I finally ordered it from Traditional Stitches, which is in Canada. So I have the pattern, and they had probably about 2/3 of the threads. They did not have all of them. I have ordered the rest of the threads from, I had to go to I ordered most of the rest of them from Fire Poppies, and then I had to order 2 of them from Top Knot Stitcher, because Fire Poppies did not have 2 of them. But anyway, when Pam showed her finished one a few months ago, I just love this thing. I love the bright colors of it. Anyway, let me show you what it looks like. Cardinal Points. Of course, I love dragonflies. It has dragonflies in the corners, but I just really, and the saying in the middle says, "The gentle art of a needlewoman lies embodied in her work." So I got just, I think, antique white to do it on. I can't see what 36 count white. I think I got white, not antique white. And, you know, a lot of the flosses I've got. The rest of them should be here in the next week or so. They've both been shipped. So anyway, this probably will be a new start sometime in the next couple months. I don't know if I will start it in March. I might wait, and I'm not really planning to do a full-on May mayhem. But I may do something similar to what I did last year, where I start something new every Saturday. I don't know. It kind of depends on whether I feel like I have that many things I want to start. I mean, I always want to start stuff, but I'm trying not to start a bunch of stuff unless I just really want to start it. So, but this definitely will get started sometime in the next couple of months. Another thing, I had ordered this from 123 Stitch. I put a notify me when in stock for this on 123 Stitch. I got the notification. I ordered it. And of course, I went and ordered a bunch of other stuff. Actually, I ordered a bunch of Mill Hill kits, since this is for beads. I'll show you. And anyway, and they shipped all the Mill Hill kits and then told me this was out of stock on back order. But anyway, it finally came in. This is, I guess, the reincarnation of the Tacky Bob. It's called the Tacky Bill. I never had a Tacky Bob. I never heard about them until after you couldn't find Tacky Bobs. But Yarn Tree has released the Tacky Bill, which is basically just like a CD case with the sticky, so when you're doing beaded stuff. So I got one of these, and of course, like I said, my logic was I ordered a bunch of Mill Hill kits at the same time, thinking, hey, might as well order beaded kits. And all the kits came, and this finally came in the past month. And then the only other thing, I have only ordered one PDF pattern since I last recorded, and I will put a picture of it here. It is Rosina Dissery. I'm not sure how to pronounce that first name. 1820, which is from Works by ABC. You may have, if you're into floss tube and cross stitch, you may have seen about this on social media. It is actually what I believe to be a rare, I haven't had a chance to read all the information that came in the pattern. She gives a lot of historical information. A rare sampler done by an African-American young female. And it actually says on the pattern that she was at the New African Free School in New York. And it has a verse on it, which I didn't write down. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I am not much of a sampler person usually. Obviously that Cardinal Points is a sampler. I'm not usually all about the alphabets and stuff. I love history, so one part of me wants to really be into it, but just appearance wise, I'm not super into samplers, a lot of them. And this one, I like the way it looks. I don't love the way it looks, but I like the way it looks. And I just think it's important that one of the few African-American stitched samplers is perpetuated for our history, for our cross-stitch history. So I'm glad that someone, as I understand it, somebody posted on Instagram that they had found out about it, and really wish somebody would do the pattern, and Works by ABC took it up and did it. Contacted the actual sampler is in a museum, I believe, in New York. And she did it correctly and contacted the museum and got permission and, all that. And so I just want to be a part of keeping that history alive, I guess. So I will start that at some point. I'm not sure exactly when. I need to figure out fabric, the color of the fabric. I want to be somewhat accurate to what the historic image looks like. And so I need to find something that has that little hint of yellowish without being too yellow for me. So we'll, anyway, that is the only one that I bought PDF this time, which is amazing actually, because usually I'm like all about buying PDFs. I'm trying to be better about buying stuff and not buying just because. That being said, I have pre-ordered 5 or 6 Nashville Market releases. So I will show you those when they eventually get in. The one that is my favorite so far is just cute. Is Silver Creek Samplers Wool You Be My Neighbor, which the sheep wearing the Mr. Rogers cardigan, and it's wool instead of, I think think the original song was Won't You Be My Neighbor? But anyway, it's wool, WOOLUEWE, be my neighbor, and it's a sheep with the Mr. Rogers cardigan on it. I grew up watching Mr. Rogers and loved it, so I just thought it was adorable. But, and I've ordered a couple more, that I just really liked and didn't want to risk not getting. So, but I'm trying to, there's several more that I really do like, but they're also from designers that I know eventually in a few months will release them on PDF. And honestly, PDF is my preference these days for stitching. And so I will just wait for those to come out on PDF. So anyway, that is it for Stashing for Retirement. As far as plans go, I will be at Carolina Fiberfest in 2 weeks. It is 2 weeks. Wow, it is 2 weeks from now. March 11th and 12th at State Fairgrounds at the Expo Center. Come join us. Like I said, attendance at the event for the vendor market is free. There are workshops available online. You can pre-register now. Some of them are already filled. They are filling up. So if you're interested in a workshop, please go sign up. Those do cost money, but it is a very reasonable amount of money in my opinion. And other than that, I don't think I have any other craft-related events coming up in the next month. Excuse me. I'm going to get to spend a weekend later in March with Wendy Graham from Silly Frou, from Sassy Pants Knitter. Sorry, I couldn't think of her channel name, which is going to be a lot of fun. And I think that's about it. My sister is coming in from California next week, and she and my mother and I are going to see a show Friday night in Greensboro. And now I can't remember the name of what we're going to see. Yeah, it's totally escaped me. I will put up on the screen the name of it because it's not coming to me. But anyway, my husband and my father are not interested really that much in musical type stuff, in musicals, you know. I mean, my husband will go to see some, but it's got to be something he's particularly interested in. So anyway, my sister's coming in by herself. Usually when she comes, you know, she's got her husband and her son with her, and she's just coming out for a weekend to see my parents. And so we decided we'd go see a show. So looking forward to that next Friday night. And I think that's it. Hopefully I will see you sometime in March. I don't know when. I keep thinking I will do this every couple weeks, and it ends up being once a month at best. So I'm just not going to make any promises anymore. So I hope that y'all are all doing well. Everyone is staying healthy and safe, and sending the good thoughts around the world. And I will see you later. Bye, y'all.